Welcome to the EdTech Throwdown. Join us, Eric Geis and Nick Johnson, as we dive into today's best EdTech tools, tips, and practices. We do the research so you can teach your class. Remember to follow us on social media like Instagram, X, or Facebook by looking for the handle at EdTech Throwdown. Now please enjoy the show.
Welcome to the EdTech Throwdown. This is episode 214 called Ditch That Chromebook. In this episode, we'll talk about several current issues in the EdTech world, all centered around technology, the role it serves, and to what extent it belongs in schools. This is another episode you don't want to miss. Check it out.
All right, so we're back with episode 214. Just wanted to throw a shout out to Nick last week. He was with guest Dave Snyder. Awesome episode. I got to listen to it. I wasn't a part of the episode because, I have some family stuff that I had to, deal with and go through. But it was an awesome episode. If you're interested in cognitive science and the way the brain works and how students learn, you need to go back and check out that episode.
Yeah, thank you for saying that, first of all. And second of all, it's such a fun conversation. Dave's a really fun guy to talk to. Very knowledgeable. I don't know if it came off in the episode, but he just knows so much about that world. And I hope that episode was to people what it was for me. It's just like a springboard of information, knowing that what cognitive science is and what people are currently researching. And then at the very end of the episode, I know that's sort of when listeners start to trail off because it's like the end of their commute generally, so they don't have time and don't always get back to it. But the resources we listed there, or just go straight to the show notes for them, phenomenal. So yeah, it was super fun to do. Thanks again, Dave Snyder, for joining me for that.
I was super bummed. We got to see him at NJECC, and that was such a phenomenal session that he ran. And I could tell, as a coach, that he's a coach before he told us that he was a coach. Just the way that he approaches things and tackles issues and stuff like that. So that was an awesome episode. I was very happy after listening to that episode because you guys nailed it. So good job there. As you could see from the intro to the episode, this title is Ditch That Chromebook. And I will say this has nothing to do with Matt Miller. We love Matt Miller and all the ditch stuff that he does, all the books and all the tremendous resources that he gives. But I had to keep this title because of exactly how people are bringing this issue up to us and asking for our opinions, and we'll get into that a little bit in the segment too, but that's the reason why we went with the title. Matt Miller, we love you and your stuff. Fantastic guy. Met him a bunch of times at conferences, but this episode is just our take on one of the couple of issues that we're going to talk about EdTech. Each year we typically do in February, but for some reason we didn't do it in February, kind of like the State of the Union address involving education and educational technology. So that's kind of going to be our episode today. I think this is a good one just to reflect on a little bit. Teachers need to reflect on their practice, and we have to change with the times. And I know Nick and I probably don't agree on every single topic. At least I'm hoping we don't, otherwise it might be a long, boring episode, but I'm pretty sure that we don't. But yeah, we're going to get into that in segment 2, but before that, we're going to take a listen to the Teacher Podcast Network.
This podcast is a proud member of the Teach Better Podcast Network. Better today, better tomorrow, and the podcast to get you there. You can find out more at teachbetter.com/podcasts. Now let's get back to the episode.
So we're back with segment 2, and in this segment, we're going to just kind of discuss a couple of the EdTech topics that keep coming up, whether it's in our school, at professional developments, ones that we see in the New York Times or other areas of the internet. We're going to talk a little bit about it, and we're going to see where we kind of land on it and try to give some justification as to why we land on the side that we land.
Yeah, and the first one of those we'll jump straight into is something I know for sure we've attacked this subject before in a lot of different ways. We're talking about, of course, AI in schools, and specifically here, though, it's not like how to use it. It's not our favorite tools. It's not one of the many, I don't know, dozens of episodes that we've covered so far. It's specifically to block or not to block, because this is a question that our district is trying to figure out right now. This year, and just in the past few months, we have decided actually to block AI. Not all, but I guess most, we'll say. So that as long as the students are on their school-issued device, on a student network, they cannot use any AI tools other than securely, which is the I don't know, what would you call securely? Like a monitoring?
Yeah, it monitors, but it will redirect students from any AI site to go back to securely, so they're in an established area. I mean, really, if you are familiar with Magic School, it's like a Magic School classroom, but there's a lot of limitations.
Yeah, it'd be like a really crappy Magic School. And I'm not knocking securely, they're just not trying to do all the things Magic School does, but they can work with securely because their teachers can monitor the conversations. We are not blocking Magic School for the same reason. Teachers can monitor the conversations, and school AI is the other one. So the question is that the way to go, or is it not? And it's a weird one because we're probably going to disagree, but at the same time, I literally see both sides, and my mind can be changed from minute to minute, day to day on this issue. So, I don't know, maybe I'll let you start off with this thing.
No, I want you to start off, but I want you to actually, if you had to choose one way or another, don't be wishy-washy. That's a little cowardly.
All right.
Pick a side. You
All
need to pick a side. You're the administrator in this situation. What side do you go with and why?
So if I'm picking a side, because you're right, let's not be wishy-washy about it. Largely, these days, I tend towards being a little more down on AI in the negative side. So I'm going to go block for this one. Not fully, but almost fully, and say pretty much what we're doing now, which is only open under specific websites and tools that can be monitored. And I'll tell you why. The people that we're dealing with are not adults, they're children. And I think the level of maturity and trust that you put in them to use something like ChatGPT or Gemini appropriately has to be extremely high, to a level that most of them are probably not capable of. So a lot of the times we'll hear the arguments we got to teach kids how to use AI because that's going to be the world they're in. They have to use it in their jobs, and they're going to be competing against other people who are using it effectively. So they need to know how to as well. And I agree with all that. However, they are kids. And I think we can still accomplish that using safe tools with guardrails. And all of this stems back to my larger concern. This is the last thing I'll say before what I'm pretty sure you're going to do, which is give me the opposing view. I just worry about what it's doing to their brains. I already see it in myself. Anytime I have a problem or something I can't figure out, my new go-to is not me thinking about it. My new go-to is, let me ask ChatGPT or Gemini. And I just don't think that's a good road for the human mind. I learn a lot from it for sure, but I'm worried about that. So then to me that gets magnified for students, right? Children with developing minds. I don't know what the end game is there. Might be fine. Might just be a new age for humanity, but also maybe it's not good too. So if I had to pick a side, that's where I'm at. What do you think?
I don't know where to start. All right, because you're saying stuff and I'm thinking of metaphors, examples, blah, 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 blah. So I'm just going to give you kind of this verbal combustion of
Let it out.
everything. All right, first of all, I think as educators, we need to start taking away all the bubbles that we put up to protect these kids. All right. Now, I'm saying this strictly in terms of education. I'm not saying we need to, have our kids walk barefoot uphill both ways from school. I don't want elementary kids doing anything that's not safe. And that word safe is the thing that's going to be kind of debated here. But I feel like we keep putting these bubbles up around our kids. And, we did it with social media. All right. I understand the cyberbullying issue. I do understand that. But it's going to happen regardless. All right. I understand the cheating with AI. That's going to happen. And it's going to be if a kid wants to cheat, he could find a way to cheat. I saw a kid, and this was not at our school. I'll just throw this out there. I was observing somebody else on one of our days off, and I saw a kid basically rubbing his fingernails, and I'm pretty sure he wrote on pencil on his fingernail, and as he did a brain dump onto his paper, he erased it.
Right.
Clever, but a kid that wants to cheat is going to find a way to cheat. All right. Our job as teachers is to make sure that, A, we let these kids fail in a safe space. All right. If they do something that is not appropriate with AI, we call them out on it. We make sure that they know right from wrong there. All right. I don't really think this debate is appropriate at elementary school level because for the most part, the teachers, a lot of these kids, even though more kids are getting cell phones at the elementary age, which is another debate in itself, I feel like the teachers at the elementary levels have pretty good reign of when technology is used there. All right, so it's not really there. At the middle school level, I really only see very small amounts of use cases where that would be appropriate even to have it there. But once you start getting into these more challenging courses of AP and stuff like that, where these kids need to get information quickly, all right, and they need to work with that information, I don't see the issue. My point here is this. You said that kids aren't thinking for themselves, okay, and you're not thinking for yourself. And you go to, ChatGPT or something like that. And how's that helping them? Well, the kids, where are they going to go? They're going to go to the book, or they're going to go to your slide deck, or they're going to go somewhere there. They're not going to be thinking through this problem without getting a little bit of help. And to me, the thinking through the problem is more important than knowing how to go get the information. All right. So I'll put this in an example. My wife is a vet. I think I brought this up before. She's a veterinarian. If they can lock down the big book that says all the symptoms, and it kind of like you put in the symptoms and then you get it narrowed down to whatever illnesses that it could possibly be and how to treat it. If they could put that book locked into an AI thing, the veterinarian types it in and it kicks out the 8 different illnesses, and then it has like a little checklist there of, all right, are you in the Northeast? Yeah, okay, we can't eliminate this tick-borne illness and stuff like that until you get to the root of the cause. I would rather have that vet do something that is more time effective than have her or he go into a book and look up all this stuff that is readily available. I'll do another argument. How often do you use your GPS?
All the time.
When do you go to Google Maps and print out directions anymore? When's the last time you got a map out of your glove box and you looked on a map how to get places? Right. So you're allowing other pieces of technology do the work for you, but in this case, I don't think it's the information that you're obtaining or how you're obtaining that information. I think what we can't afford to lose as educators is the ability to think through problems. So I have no problem with AI being used in the proper way, and we have to teach in that way. So, for example, I just made an AP biology test assistant. So if a kid is looking at his or her notes and there's a cellular pathway that they don't understand, they go to that test assistant, and they type that in. And in that bot, I already have it, so they're not giving the answer. It's helping you have guided questions to see what you know, build on what you know, so you can get to the answer. And then if you want to try a multiple choice problem on that topic, you could say, provide me with a multiple choice, AP Bio multiple choice problem. That problem will show up, and then they could start going through the answers. And then if they get the correct answer, it reaffirms them why that is the correct answer. If they don't, it says something like, think about it this way. Does this make sense compared to what the question is asking? And then they get another try. Those are all appropriate uses. Do I condone AI writing a paper, turning it in as your own? No, but I also don't condone a student going to Wikipedia or any type of database and copying and pasting in anything from there either. There's uses. We got around that as educators, students using digital resources because everyone was scared about that. Take the bubble down, teach them appropriately, communicate clear directions. You may not use AI for this project. As a teacher, the only way that you're going to do that is you go back to pen and paper, and they have no electronics out, and they do it in class. So what that might make you do is shift the way that you teach. All right? You're going to have to write a paper on this topic. You may bring in papers. Nothing digital, but you may bring in papers to assist you to write your paper in class. Today we're doing the intro. The next day we are doing this. And maybe the teachers give different color pieces of paper per day, so they can't just bring it in and have it done from home. Like, we need to be a little bit more clever on how we're asking kids to do things. But the AI has to be a part of certain situations.
It's really funny as you're talking. I was at a thing with some other parents from my daughter's school a couple weeks ago, and weirdly, I was the same argument, at least one of the arguments you just made, I was giving in front of this group of parents because we were all talking about pretty much this. And I was like, hey, if AI makes, if kids can get to the same result faster than it would take them to, like you said, read a book or go do what we did, which is read Wikipedia and Google search things. To me, that's all upside. I was like, then they can get to the same end result but faster. And this other lady that was there, this other mom pushed back, and she's like, okay, that might be true, except, and her point was, like, what are we losing when everything is easy? Like, what is lost if all answers are available and you don't have to, like, what if your mind never has to work through anything, even if it's reading a Wikipedia article? Like, that was our level of struggle, which compared to the generation before us probably seemed like a joke. But now AI just like amplifies that exponentially. And she was like, what happens when everything they do is so easy for them? Because some things in life are going to be hard. Some things in life are going to take work. Sometimes ChatGPT or Gemini is wrong. And if you have no ability and no content knowledge, how do you know when what it's telling you is wrong or inaccurate or biased? So it's just funny hearing you say what I was saying. And I was like, yeah, okay, lady, like, that's kind of a good point. I'm not sure how I feel about it. I'm sharing because I don't know how do you feel about that?
Well, the thing is we have made curriculums in education to look at fake news. We got to do the same thing with AI. What we can't do is just hope that the colleges or the universities are going to teach our kids how to use AI.
Right.
Because what's happening is kids are going to college, and at college, it's like, it's pretty clear cut. You either did, you didn't, right, wrong. For the most part, they write you up for academic dishonesty, you're out.
Yeah, that's it. Done deal.
It's one and done. All right. So my thing is if we give them the ability to make mistakes in high school and we correct those in a way that, like, I'm totally against the first offense going on academic record and stuff like that. It should be held in-house. Okay, this is your consequence. There's still a consequence, but it doesn't need to go on their academic record the first time. They get a 0, or they have to redo the assignment a different way, or something along those lines. But the fact that we're just sending them to the college or university and they're expected to know how to write a works cited for AI when we don't show them that in the high school, like, I think it's just setting them up to be behind everyone else that has already learned that. And I feel like districts are either all in or all out.
Right.
There's not really a middle ground, and I wouldn't even call ours a middle ground. I think Securely is so limited that I'm not saying that it's not useful. I think it's minimally useful.
I'll say it's pretty not useful. Like, let's not even if we have Magic School available, it's not even like Securely. It's just minimal at best.
Yeah, but that also needs worked out too, because Magic School is getting blocked. And I don't know if that's something that is local to our district, but it doesn't do the redirect and it doesn't allow them to use the tool that's being used. Right. So, I mean, there are limitations beyond the limitations. Like, I think you're able to set which ones are able to be pushed past with Securely, like which ones get redirected there and which ones don't, which ones you're allowed to use. But I mean, there are things that we have to figure out if that's how we're going to stay.
I think you're probably right about the let fail thing, and I do also believe that high school should be that place where that happens, so then you like don't get kicked out of college for it. But my fear with that is, like, when I look around at our colleagues, like, that's a lot of work and that's a tall task. Are they actually going to do it? Like, are these safe space conversations really going to happen? Because what I see is people around here just want to, like, they want it to be easy and to be handled for them. Like, they don't want to have the hard conversation with the kid. You can't really prove when the student has used AI. So, like, while I agree, I don't know if what you're saying would actually happen for real in, like, a helpful way. Unless, and so here's, I don't know if this is the end to it or not, unless I've seen two things that I like that I'll share, and maybe that's the springboard to the next topic. Before students submit something written, they have to run it through Turnitin. And if Turnitin says that it was AI generated, they can't even submit it, right? Like, don't even bother pushing in that paper if Turnitin says it's AI created. I like that because now the teacher is not put in the position to make the call. The kid has to do it themselves. So if the student is angry about that, they can be annoyed with Turnitin, right? So it's deflected away from the teacher fully. We're not asking teachers to have hard conversations. Should they be having them? Yes. Are they? I don't think so. I think a lot of teachers try to avoid it. So I like that. And then the other thing I've seen that I really like is, and what probably is the correct answer, despite what I've been arguing, schools that have a really robust AI training program that all kids go through, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, and because the training is at a high level, we open it up. We say, yes, you can use Google Gemini. It's safe and private according to Google, so it's cool that way. And also, we are fully teaching all of you the rights and the wrongs. I think that's, if I, like, for real was running a school, that's probably what I would do, despite all the concerns that I've shared so far. So I don't know if that's the end of the if that's the end of this. We could keep going round and round for a while. But
yeah, I mean, the thing is I don't see Securely changing anything. It's not changing anything because students still have a way to get on AI at home. So if they have that reasoning, what is it changing? Unless, the assignment is given up in parts and is only done in class, it's not changing anything. It's not solving any of our problems. So for me, the only right way is to teach them the proper way of using it. Because if they're going to be exposed to it in some way, shape, or form, let them be exposed to it. If you can't control everything, then you control nothing, in my opinion. And we could leave it there, but I think one of the things that's going to help the situation next year, possibly, is our next topic. I believe it's our next topic, which is, no, it's our last topic,
that's
but I'm
cool.
going to switch it.
Yeah, we can jump it. It doesn't matter. Let's do the.
And that's the banning of cell phones in schools, yay or nay. In New Jersey, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think the policy is that cell phones go away next year.
I believe
completely.
so. Yeah, that's a new law.
All right. I'm wondering how that's going to be paid for, how that's going to be controlled and all that. But I guess the question is, should the banning of cell phones happen in schools? Yes or no? Do you want me to take this one first, or do you
You take it first, because I don't know what you're gonna. I really don't know what you're gonna say. I'm not sure if we've talked about this one in advance.
Yeah, I think it depends on our next topic as well, but I'm going to say that I am 100% okay with cell phones going away. I don't care.
That's fine.
I mean, the thing is most of us have one-to-one devices, or we have ways of getting our hands on technology throughout the day. I think teachers that want to do that, that's great. I think one of the arguments is that kids are on screens all day with their one-to-one devices. I think taking the cell phones away will limit that a little bit. It's a lot easier to see a Chromebook or something larger out than it is to see a cell phone. They get creative, clever. If they have to be locked up and there's a way to manage that, they can't go to the bathroom and use it there. I just think that it might cut down on some of the negative stuff that I'm more afraid of, like the cyberbullying and social media and stuff along those lines. Now, if we do this way, we have the ability, if we eliminate all personal devices, so MacBooks cannot come to school, personal Chromebooks, laptops, all that stuff cannot come to school. If we eliminate all that, then we can have control of some of that negative stuff at school. Now, they would still be able to use their Chromebooks, but it would be under, when they're signed in their school account, we would be able to monitor them. We would be able to do all that. That pushes the social media and all that stuff out to the parents to keep control of. I think in school, I think it's awesome that if there are teachers that want to run social media through their school, and maybe they give the students a chance to develop the post and the teachers approve it, that way they can kind of educate them on the, how to spread positive vibes on social media, keep everything professional and positive, and, talk about social media presence and how it can impact your future and all that good stuff. I think that's good. But for the argument of cell phones, yeah, I don't care. Take them away.
Same. So we'll do this one quick, because we probably agree on this. Get them out of here. Separating out, okay, how's that going to happen? Who's paying for that? Who's going to pay for the little pouches that they store them in? Who's going to be checking that it actually happens? What about the teachers that don't monitor for it? Blah, blah, blah. The 1,000 issues that goes along with actually doing it. If we just say, hypothetically, could it be done and should we do it? I think, yeah, for sure. I just think it's too big of a draw, almost for one of the same arguments I made with AI. Should we teach kids to use AI properly so they learn to when they're adults? Yes. Are they children that aren't going to be able to do it properly? For sure. Same exact thing with cell phones. Should we teach them to sit there through a class period and not look at their phones? Yes. Can they do that? No. So get them out of schools. It's too big of a distraction. It's time to be done.
My other point is we might be able to control the kids, but we can't control the parents.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how many times I have run a class where their phone goes off and it's their parents?
Oh, yeah.
All the time.
All the time.
And usually I take the phone, I see that it's mom or dad, and I answer it. I do that all the time.
I've
Anytime
seen-
it's the parent, I'll be like, hey, what's going on? Who's this? I go, this is your son or daughter's teacher. We're in the middle of class. You mind if I put you on speaker?
Right. I've seen that live, by the way. It's very entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, I have fun with it, but get rid of the cell phones. We don't need them.
Don't need them. And then maybe these kind of, I'm realizing all three of these kind of blend together. So let's wrap it up with our final, the last one of these, which is recently there's been a pendulum swing back on this thing of one-to-one devices. This is the title of our episode here today. Ditch that Chromebook, because there's a lot of schools that are saying ditch that Chromebook. A lot of the times this is led by parent groups. I heard one a few weekends ago when we were doing like an AI presentation on a weekend. The parents were in there organizing about, just like getting rid of the Chromebook thing. And I do agree that it's bad for developing brains to be in front of screens all day, but I don't know I think I'm sticking with one-to-one. Like I don't know if our students here and by the way, we do have one-to-one devices. I don't see them in front of a screen all day, every day. Like, is that happening? Like in some classes they are, but not in my class. Like they're sitting there with a worksheet some days and doing labs other days and making posts. Like is this a concern for schools? And maybe I just don't know. But certainly if there's a school building out there where a kid has the Chromebook screen in front of them from bell to bell, that's a problem. But I don't know if the problem is the one-to-one device. I think that's a problem of maybe those teachers need to change up what they're doing so the kids aren't looking at a Chromebook screen. This is like an issue that I didn't even know was an issue, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you mean, and this episode was because someone sent me a picture, and it was a picture of a Chromebook, and then they used their finger to write "ditch that Chromebook" on their question mark.
Okay.
And then they sent me a follow-up question. In all honesty here, they are not a teacher. They're not in education. They're in business.
Right.
All right, it's one of my friends, and they're under this assumption that their elementary age kid and their middle school age kid and their high school age kid all have Chromebooks and they're all on it all the time.
But they're not, right?
They're not.
Okay, good.
All right, they're not. And here's the thing. The high school kid is on his phone something absurd like 9 hours a day because they can track that. So they assume that the Chromebook is the same, and it really is not. So if we get rid of the cell phones, that's 9 hours of free time away from a tech device. At school, we have some teachers that still don't use Chromebooks, and you know what? That's fine. But I think that there's a space in here called, ditch that Chromebook. Yeah, you're going to do that. And guess what? There are awesome activities out there that you could do without technology. Maybe that's Matt Miller's next book, Ditch That Chromebook, with a little spin that it's okay. Maybe even limited. Maybe hybrid activities where there's a station rotation and one of those 5 stations is a Chromebook activity, or flip-flop. Maybe 3 of them are Chromebooks and 2 of them are without Chromebooks. And I think for the most part, that's what we do as teachers. I don't allow kids to go on and just watch random YouTube videos. We're not watching episodes of Bluey. We're not, watching Bill Nye the Science Guy period after period after period. We're not doing that. We go on, maybe there's a simulation that we use. Maybe I give them the option they could either type their answers or write their answers on a physical worksheet, something along those lines. Maybe we're doing an escape the room where there's they're using their Chromebooks as lock forms. But I don't see anybody day in and day out on a device unless it's like some type of like computer course that is meant to be on a computer, like code writing, things like that.
Yeah, so like I don't know, maybe the listeners are screaming at their phones or their car speakers right now saying you guys don't know what's happening, but it's certainly not that way at our school. So I wonder like to what extent this is just like parent groups thinking that that's what's happening when it's actually not. But maybe we're wrong. Maybe there's a couple schools out there where like, yeah, all your teachers every day are like on the Chromebook. We're taking notes by typing, and if that's happening, I would say, like I said before, I think ditching the Chromebooks is maybe the wrong way to go. Maybe it's like more just train the faculty to like not do that, and remember that there's benefits to handwriting, and there's benefits to doing physical things, sometimes away from the screen, just away from the physical downsides of looking at a screen all day. Like when, I don't know if maybe teachers don't do this a lot because we're up in front of a room, but when I spend too much time in the morning in my office looking at 3 screens, my head starts getting weird, right? I mean, you're nodding because obviously you felt that too. You got to get up and like talk to humans, or it makes you feel weird. So I think we keep the Chromebooks. I'll say one more quick thing. If we had to go back to like laptop carts, can you imagine how annoying that would be?
That would be terrible.
It would be terrible. So keep the Chromebooks. And then if I want the kids to take it out, I tell them to take it out of their book bag.
The other thing, and this is the reason why I don't think Chromebooks are going away or one-to-one devices are going away. Think about our state testing. Think about our AP testing and things like that. Well, guess what? They switch from paper to devices. So, I mean, I feel like we're not going to go away from the state test on a computer, so if we have to have those devices already, why not just keep them?
Yeah, that's a good point. What are they going to do? Have enough laptop carts for every kid?
Yeah, I mean, educate the staff that, these can be powerful tools if used in the right way. And the only other thing that I want to say is the Chromebooks they're a powerful device. It's a powerful teaching tool. Remember that every student learns differently. I have terrible handwriting, so I prefer doing all my presentations and anything that I'm going to give to kids digitally before I do it. If they had to decipher my handwriting on a board, I mean, that's just a nightmare for everybody. So what I'm kind of saying here is like, remember that Chromebooks are a differentiation tool. If you use them all the time, those kids that don't learn well through digital devices are at a disadvantage. Or if you don't permit them to use the Chromebook, the ones that need that Chromebook to thrive in your class, to make it a more level playing field, well, what are we doing? We're just putting them at a disadvantage. So I think there needs to be some flexibility there. I'm going to say Chromebooks can stay, cell phones can go, bring on the AI. That's where I'm at.
I'm going to say less AI, so I think we still slightly disagree on that. But like in a general theme to this episode, it's almost as if the answer is in, surprise, surprise, moderation. Just like with anything else, we can have one-to-one Chromebooks, but they shouldn't be staring at them for 8 hours a day while they're here. We can have some AI with guardrails and like a well-trained student body and a good, robust education program and staff that actually monitor it and change their teaching practice now that the world has shifted. I don't know if the cell phones require moderation. I think we both pretty much agreed to get them out of here. But like at the end of the day, I think that's always the safest message, and that's pretty much what we're landing on with these issues. All of this stuff remains to be seen, how it all ends up. So maybe we have the same conversation in like, I don't know, a year, 5 years, and see where it lands. But that's going to wrap it up for today's episode. As always, thank you for listening.
Thanks for listening to the EdTech Throwdown. Do us a couple of favors. Subscribe to our podcast on any major podcast catcher such as Apple, Spotify, Amazon Podcast, and Stitcher. Go over to YouTube, search the EdTech Throwdown, subscribe to the channel. You can connect with us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. The show's handle is EdTech Throwdown. You can connect with Geis at GeisGotTech, Nick at NickGotTech. You could write us an Apple Podcast review. You could tell your friends about www.edtechthrowdown.com. And lastly, go over and check out our friends over at the Teach Better Podcast Network, a network that we are so proudly involved with. Until next time, remember, go try some EdTech because we will do the research so you can teach your class.